Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. We have a quorum. We'll call the meeting to order. Yeah. Can you hear me? If you sign in and you're a registered voter, you should have a voting paddle and a ballot for the board member election. Please return paddles at the end of the sign-in table. Lisa, do you want to be roll call? So roll call, we have Lori, Julia, Dee, Chris, Jeff, Nancy, Dave, Greg, and Lisa. We have Lynn at fax as well.
She's on there.
And our treasurer, Lisa Holder, is not present. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, if you speak today, please state your name and address. Keep it to 2 minutes, twice per topic, once everyone has had a chance to speak. And let's stay respectful. We're all friends and neighbors. Okay, the reports of the Board of Governors. Over the past few months, many of you pointed out that the town and state require permits for certain activities, raffles, bingos, bazaars, and gaming. I know some have said, we're just a community doing community things, why go corporate? I get it. But we can't ignore the law. So yes, it needs more cost, more paperwork, and more effort. But it protects all of us and keeps our traditions alive without putting members at risk. And remember, everybody knows your Board of Governors is 100% volunteer. We're not adding work for fun. We're doing it so we can enjoy events without legal or financial consequences. We also found out that some of the events were underinsured or not insured at all. That's been fixed. And a little bit later, Dave Drew will give more details on our insurance and answer any questions a bit later in our agenda. I just wanted to make a quick mention of the website. We are making progress. You can now view the meeting recordings, all of the meetings, the June, the August, any special meetings. They'll all be populated on the website. And we've also made some newsletters online. So we are making updates, but more will come when the season settles down over the winter. We'll take a better look at that and get it going. And then I just wanted to make a quick mention about Facebook. And, as we put in the newsletter, not the Facebook police, but it's really a courtesy note. The Lake Hayward page is for the entire lake. And when we post events on there, and we post things about First Beach and Second Beach and Third Beach, they can't come to our events. They can't attend our events. So out of a courtesy, like we just ask, don't post on there. We have another page that's Lake Hayward, Connecticut Members Forum. And that's really meant for us. It's open if they would like to join, if the East Shore would like to join or anybody would like to join it, it's open, but it's meant for us to share. You do what you want. I'm not going to be a police. I'm just saying as a courtesy, to the people that can't attend our events. So thank you, and let's have a great meeting. Lisa is, our treasurer. Lisa is not here. She actually was on vacation, got stuck in the airport, which is quite common nowadays, I guess. So I do have a report, for her. It's probably not gonna be as full as she would have, she wanted to mention that, we did finish in the black in the 24-25 fiscal year. And part of that was because, we did pay some things with the prior fiscal year, that covered, so it wasn't for budgeting. It was just a good use of funding. So we put about 30,000 into the general funds or the allocated reserves. Let's see, she's got, okay, so we're running our finances on new software. So we're going from Quicken to QuickBooks. And Lisa has spent countless hours trying to change over. It's been a really, really difficult task. So thank you, Lisa. I know you can hear me. So financial reports, they're not on the website yet, but they will be soon. Those are the next things to go on there. Anything financial have been sent to our website person. And let's see. Okay, she wanted to mention that we did receive the reimbursement for the lake quality from the town of East Haddam, which was $15,500 this year. So that was for the expenses for lake quality preservation. And lastly, any questions or concerns, you can email treasurer@lakehaywardct.com. That's Lisa's report. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we move on, what you touched on, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just so we don't get too far.
Yeah, but come on, please, and state your name and your
It'll be
address.
paid for worldly. Just wondering, you hit on that going forward now, it's gonna involve a lot more paperwork with certain activities. Is this all activities are gonna be, everything's gonna be permitted correctly here?
Everything will be permitted.
Everything.
Yeah. You have something specific you're concerned
Well,
about?
just saying, stop picking and choosing what you're permitted, whether it's, an activity of a game or is an act.
Not everything requires permitting. So what does require permitting?
Merchandising,
Like what?
merchandising,
No,
sales and use.
no, we're not, no. There's no profit being made on our merchandise. That's a not-for-profit.
In your newsletter, to offset the budget 50/50.
50/50 will be permitted, and we will not do those without the
There's always
permit.
one unsaid that if you're dispersing all the money, there's not an issue.
No, that is
But if you're
not
getting
true.
it to permitting, I know as a business, you have to have a sales and use permit if you're selling it. You're purchasing and you're selling, you have to have. Or other things like health department permits you might need, but we're gonna be following them.
We are looking at, listen, all this is
I'm
new.
not gonna get too far down the road.
This is all new, and we're doing our best.
Yep, okay. I just didn't want it to get down the line to another person's area and we didn't address that. We didn't do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, I took care of them. Right. Yep, we're gonna go back. I was thrown off by Lisa. Thank you. Sorry. Vice President's report. I figured she'd get right back to me.
Good morning. And I'm just going to follow a little bit on what Lori said. Again, we're a wonderful community here of volunteers and we exist and things happen because of all of you. So thank you so much. And I wanted to celebrate some of the things, the unsung heroes. I'm going to call them unsung heroes. People that all of you just show up and you do something. You say, hey, we need this done, and you take it in your control, in your power, and you deal with it. Pardon me, and we are most grateful for that because you are all making this place beautiful. And just a couple things I wanted to touch on. The people who mow and remove the brush from the walkways, the people who maintain the gardens. We've had tree limbs, live tree limbs fall, and we've had members just proactively start cutting up the debris and hauling it away before we put the tree guys in to clean up the mess. That's amazing. We have members that keep the storm drains clean of leaf debris and other branches so that we don't have washouts. Again, they take those, they own them and they take very good care of them and they protect all of our properties. So we're most grateful for that. All the people who provide activities for our children and our adults, people do that at the goodness of their hearts in their own time, and they use expertise and skills, and we greatly appreciate that. People who rake out the organic matter down at Third Beach, the wind blows north to south mostly, and it all collects at Third Beach, and they are always working diligently down there to rake up all that organic matter and make a nice swim area. They do that voluntarily, and they're fantastic and wonderful. The guys that use the tractors from time to time, we have kids raking the beach again, and it's a lot of fun, and they're doing the best they can, but from time to time, the sand needs to be fluffed, and we have guys with their own tractors that come down and will fluff the sand, periodically. So most appreciative of that. The people who install and remove the swim lines and the silt fence, that's just wonderful. And the silt fence last year proved to really hold back the erosion on the beaches, and we'll be doing that again this year. And then the gals that repair the boat racks, the street signs, and the stairs. I mean, again, everyone's just adding their own area of expertise to keep this place beautiful. I just didn't want that to go without being said, that we most appreciate all of you unsung heroes. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia. You get to tell you all the good stuff. Okay. Now Lynn, our tax collector.
I'm very happy to report we're about 75% collected with our current tax year, which is great. Just a reminder, if you haven't sent your check in yet, you have until September 3rd this year. If you didn't hear me say it the previous 3 times, because East Haddam was late with their budget, we ended up taking a 30-day delay on our collection. So you have until September 3rd, because of Labor Day, to get your taxes in without penalty. After that, the penalties start to accrue. There were some requests this year or questions about exemptions. What if I'm elderly, or what if I'm disabled? We follow the town of East Haddam. There are exemptions available. There are rules and guidelines. The best thing to do, if you have a question in that regard, we'll talk to the assessor in East Haddam. They'll be able to give you the guidelines, the deadlines, how the application goes forward, and there are date deadlines to know about, but they can guide you through that process. And last but not least, for some of us, we got an assessment, a reassessment on their house this past year because I didn't work. If you have a dispute about your assessment, I don't, but if you do, there is a Board of Assessment Appeal in East Haddam. You have to get your argument as to why your assessment is incorrect in before March of 2026. Again, talk to the people down at the assessor and tax office down there. They'll guide you through what you need to do with volunteers, and then they make those decisions in March and April of every year. Any other questions about taxes or tax collecting this year? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Board of Governor financial initiatives. We're going to pass on to Dave Drew, and he's going to talk to you about insurance and our asset management. Let's talk about insurance.
Before you, Jack. No, so relative to assets, some of you may know that we have developed an asset plan for most of our major assets, such as the pavilion, parking, courts, etc. Some folks have really stepped up. Chris has done a great job with the courts, and Julie has done a great job with the walkways, and Jeff Flynn has done a nice job of seeing the blacktop. So what we've done is we have developed for most of the assets, and I'm bad because I own Goodwood Glen, it's one of our assets, and I have not developed my plan yet. what we've done is we've developed plans and we've gone through with them on the board as to how much money is necessary for each asset and how we're going to fund that. And so you can see some of the results, and we continue to work on it. Okay, so that's asset management. We've inventoried pretty much everything. I don't know if there's any questions relative to asset management. No, excellent. Insurance. So insurance, as you and you will see from the budget that our insurance has increased significantly. It was a difficult year relative to insurance. At first, the insurance company, so we use Bouvier, who's a broker, and then they go out to alternate carriers. They went to 30 carriers this year, 29 said no, 1 said yes. Okay. So we didn't have a lot of ability to negotiate. Okay. And then the one that said yes said they would not cover any of our events. That was just like back in March, April type timeframe. That's what they said. So we went back and we defined for them all of the events, and it came down to one event that they would not cover was Carnival. And we went back, and some of the board members insisted that we push back, and we did. And we were successful in covering everything except for water games. So we ended up with all of the liability covered, which is my primary concern, that nobody's at risk, because if we did get found liable, it's significant how much money each one of us would have to pay out of pocket after the insurance company covers stuff. So the alternative, and it was suggested to me that we explore what municipalities use for insurance. I went back to the primary company in the state of Connecticut that covers municipalities. They gave us some really high numbers, and they also started asking questions about like what type of training do we have for people that work with children, how much vetting have we done with those folks as far as their backgrounds. Those are not, they told us they would not cover the dam, which is significant. So during one of the board meetings, we elected to stick with what we had for coverage as far as carrier. We may review that again now that we're off cycle with insurance, but that's something we need to talk about in the September meeting. So are there any questions relative to insurance? No, excellent. I know I let you go. Oh, hi, Mary.
What about volunteer as far as teaching, coverage, pickleball, tennis, anything like that? What have you guys figured out with that?
For the instructors, I'm not aware of any sort of coverage. They would have to have their own coverage. Okay. Relative to the use of the courts or the activities, we have coverage for that. Any other questions relative to insurance? Excellent.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, next we're going to go into the budget, and that would be Tish.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tish Mako. I was the chair of the budget committee this year. I'd like to introduce the rest of the committee who put in a lot of time and effort to get this put in on paper. Nancy Kavanaugh, Gail Kincaid, who's that way, Keith Marvin, and Mike Sullivan. So Dave generously did a little bit of my work for me in talking about insurance. That's one of the big increases that was paid on the budget, $7,000 increase on that. And then the other big increase we had was on public safety. The board requested some additional funds to hopefully take care of some of the issues we've been having at night on the beaches, people coming down, doing things on the beaches or in the tennis courts. So the board felt like we needed to kind of amp up the security here a little bit. So they asked for an additional about $6,000 in the budget for those items. Not exactly sure what that's going to be yet. Okay, so they'll deal with that in a little bit. But without those two items, the budget would have actually gone down. So
And then the other thing that we did we are recommending we do is the reimbursement from the town. In the past, we've included it in the income section of our budget. And because it's not guaranteed funds, all of the issues with East having in their budget, we're thinking at some point it may not be something that they offer. So we felt it would be more prudent if we just footnoted the amount that we're estimating we're gonna receive. And then whatever we do receive, we'll just put right to our general reserves. Because it's something that we don't feel like we can really count on, as being income every year. And then the only other thing, again, we recommended, and I know Dave's, they're working on it, is to get that asset management spreadsheet kind of finished so that we know what we're going to need going forward for putting in our reserves for the different assets that we have. And also, once that's done, we're hoping that the board will come up with some minimum and maximum reserve numbers so that we know going forward, are we under reserved, over reserved, where exactly are we? So other than that, I think, excuse me, what I'd like to do is make a motion that we approve the budget, get that seconded, and then I can take questions or we can discuss that further. Second?
Can you turn the microphone?
No.
Oh, okay. You have a question or no? Oh, you're just
Second the motion.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm sorry, yes.
Okay. Okay, so are there any questions? Okay. Lynn,
Lynn Christie, 25 Forest Way. So my question has to do with the inclusion of the playground line item in the budget. I know that we're having a presentation later about the playground, but because this is a budget concern, I feel that this is probably the right place to ask the question or raise the concern. I'm in favor of a playground. I'm not in favor of a playground this year. And the reason that I say that is because of the dam. We know that the dam is coming. We know that the dam will cost a great deal of money. In two of the previous presentations that I've heard with Ken Houghton, it's like the town owns a portion of the work, but will be expected to pay the costs up front and then look to the town for reimbursement after. So maybe that's incorrect. However, there's still more money required for the cost of that dam than we currently have in our reserves from everything I'm hearing so far. My thought is, let's pay for the dam. Let's pay for what we need to have. And then once we get past that, then we can afford to pay for things like playgrounds, which, again, I support the idea. But if it's between a possible assessment to the owners here to pay for the cost of the dam and a playground, I'd rather have a lower assessment in 1 year and then pay for the playground in the following year.
that's something that we'll talk about
So Tim will discuss,
when we make the motion about the playground.
Tim will talk about the funding for the dam, and Tim will,
Tim is going to address funding that we have some new information on funding for the dam. And we will discuss in playground. There's been a significant amount of fundraising. So we'll talk about that in there as well.
As far as the playground in this budget, we didn't really put anything specific for the playground. All we did was add a little bit to the property budget. So the big number will be when that motion is made to fund the playground itself.
I just have a quick question. There is for one long.
Mary LaPointe, one more. I just wanted to ask a quick question. How much do we have in reserves right now? I couldn't find it. It's probably there, but I couldn't find it.
What's 120?
135,000.
135,000, that's just the general
That's
reserve.
the general reserve.
Then we also have some money set aside for the assets that, you know, Dave and the rest of the board are kind of
The numbers
identifying.
that were previously voted on. Okay, so the total is 206,000.
But that's why I think it's important to kind of get a number from the board as to, you know, where they think we should be. Because, you know, maybe at some point we'll have reserves enough that, you know, we can offset taxes maybe a little bit or something like that. But without, you know, the committee right now doesn't have any guidance on what, you know, what numbers the board thinks are adequate for reserves. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor of approving the budget totaling 253,150 as presented, say aye or raise your ballot. No, any noes? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tish, and the budget committee for all your hard work. Next, we'll move into the nominating committee, which is the applicant page.
Good morning. For those of you who not met me before, I'm sorry. I need this for you. For those of you who not met me before, I'm chairing the nominating committee this year. There were 4 of us on the committee.
Sorry. Again, New Yorker, never been told I was close before.
The nominating committee, it was appointed by the president, addresses the slate of candidates who are to be considered for this meeting, whether they're incumbents or new members. We have a lot of new people down here, so I thought I'd go over just a couple of little extra steps about what the nominating committee does and how we move through the process so that anybody who has any questions has the opportunity to answer them, get them answered today. So, the nominating committee created and enhanced the nominating form that is out on the website for anyone who is interested in a position on the Board of Governors. And those enhancements were to include questions about the ability to meet the nominating committee, the Board of Governors, committee meeting requirements in person or via Zoom, and that's 75% of the meetings. The willingness to sign code of conduct, willingness to assume leadership role in a project such as public works, safety, and town liaisons, areas of interest or concerns relative to the management of the community, and suggestions to remediate or improve the community. And we also ask and try to accumulate an inventory of special skills and expertise within POLA and non-POLA activities. So we try to have a pretty good and broad perspective of what we're looking for and ask questions of each of the individuals who are up for either as an incumbent or as a new member. This year, we were presented with 3 incumbents and successfully met and interviewed them after confirming all were in good standing. They are Lori for president, Craig for District 1, and Chris for District 2. The nominating committee recommends the 3 individuals be included on the ballot, and that ballot is in front of you, paper copy, for voting at this annual meeting. We were additionally presented with 2 open positions. District 1 to complete the term of the Board of Governor member who stepped down on June 30th. We have identified Brian Smith, interviewed him, and nominated him as a viable candidate for that position. Sorry for lots of notes, so just bear with me a minute. Brian is in good standing in the community, has been interviewed by the committee, and has met with other Board of Governor members. The nominating committee recommends he be included on the ballot and be voted on. District 3, to fill we had a little bit of a challenge identifying a position and a candidate to fill this position. And we solicited interest of 4 individuals who had or had not completed and submitted the nominating forms. So we're not only basing our work on who submitted a form, but who we can go out and talk to, who might have expressed an interest or didn't know that we were looking for someone to fill a position.
So one individual submitted a nominating form, but subsequently chose to withdraw. The nominating committee was successful, however, in identifying Dave Burton to fill District 3 vacancy. He is in good standing, and the nominating committee recommends that he be added to the ballot. Sorry. No, this is fine. Yes, I'm shaking like.
You're doing great.
We don't fight. No. Each of you were handed a ballot to check in this morning so that you have the opportunity to vote on the members that the nominating committee has recommended. The question I have, however, is, are there any nominations from the floor? If there are, they will be asked the same vetting questions as those members appearing on the ballot. And we'll do that today so that we can make a decision this morning. Anybody interested in volunteering from the floor? Okay. No? That's the easy part. Question to the membership is the slate identified by the nominating committee accepted by the membership?
Like Gail is making a motion.
I'm sorry. I had to go.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much.
Accept the board as that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Yes.
I have a question.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Bill McCain, former Orland, great process, you're vetting people, but so if you don't approve of somebody, even if they come up before today, they wouldn't be able to go for a position.
Oh, no, they get
So,
presented in front of
at the end of the
committee.
day, what's it really about? Article 13, Section 3 says that you can't be nominated from the floor.
Yes,
So I know you're looking to vet them to find out if they got any special things that fit our niche in them, but, you know, I'm saying at the end of the day,
it's a really good question. And I think
I'm just,
No, and I'm happy to answer the question because I did give it some thought and we as the committee had talked about it quite a bit. One of the things that we wanted to do is to make sure that everybody understands the time commitment. The 75% of the 11 meetings per year that run 2 to 3 hours per meeting. That's a hard commitment depending on what else you have going on in your life at the moment. And we just wanted to make sure that someone didn't take that role lightly and not be able to make that participation. And the second thing is code of conduct. Everybody needs to, who is on the board of governors, needs to sign the code of conduct. And so understanding the responsibility that you're committing to as a member of this board and supporting all of us and what that entails and what oversight, you know, you would be expected to meet. But that's really the two criteria. And of course, that you have to be in good standing. If you had not paid your taxes, you would not be able to be nominated or accepted into a position here. That fortunately, because of Lynn's hard work, we really didn't have that as an issue this year, but it's a potential. And again, because we have lots of new people, I wanted to spend some time this morning talking about this and give people like you the opportunity to ask those questions. And thank you for doing that. No problem. Cool. Yeah. So we're good. We have a new, you have a ballot. Oh, forgot to vote. See, that's the part I forgot last time. Okay, so I make a motion that we accept the ballot as written. Did I do that? Oh, please show your paddles if you agree. So all yeses, any noes? One no? So noted. Thank you very much. The ballot has the members on the ballot as shared with you has been approved by the membership. Did I get that right?
Thank you. And I'm thank you for explaining. And then I just want to add two things. One of the other things, though, is that they have to be a voting member. So we would, you know, if it was somebody we didn't know was a voting member, we would check that. You're right, exactly.
I'll add that to my notes.
And then the other thing I wanted to just mention, at our September meeting, so the new board members, Brian. And Dave Burley. So just so you both know, your term starts now. But I also wanted to mention, in our first September meeting, the officers are voted on again. So the president, the vice president, and the secretary, we as board vote again every year we vote for the president. So when Gail, I just wanted to make sure you all knew, like when she said my name and she said as president, we vote in September. So just so everybody knows. But I did tell him to return the paddles in the beginning. Can you please return the paddles before you leave? Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the dam. And we have learned a lot of things financially. Tim and I went and visited Valerie, who is the director of finance with the town of East Hampton, and we learned some interesting stuff.
Good morning, Tim Pelton, chairman of the dam committee. The headline for today is no DE permit yet, but I'm going to share a lot of strategic information that I think is going to be interesting. I'd like to respectfully request that we hold questions to the end, because I think about 90% of the questions you have right now are going to be answered in the next couple of minutes. So on July 22nd, I reached out to our DEP contact with so how are we doing on the permit? Where are we at? What's next? And I was told that DEP has just implemented. We are the first case to deal with the notice of tentative determination. Now, clearly, you all know what that is. Well, I was forced to go to the DEP website and look it up, and it's 97 words that says you have to have a 30-day public notice before we can implement a program. Now, to my knowledge, that's been in effect since Noah got the animals off the act. But this is DEP at its best, and short answer, there is no target date when we're going to get our construction permit. So until DEP does a cranial rectalectomy, we will not have a permit. I also want to share a minute of the scope of work, because I've talked to a lot of people, and I just want to clarify one simple item. The scope of the project is to repair and replenish the two spillways, not tear out the dam, not rebuild the dam, not start from square one. It's really a maintenance item. And now I'm happy to say I want to run some nice numbers. On July 22nd, Lori and I went over to visit Valerie, the town finance director, and kind of run the dam numbers. As you all know, there was a little brouhaha with the budget. Did numbers get cut? Did numbers get added? How does it all work? Here are the ball scores. So far, in the development of this project, the town has identified $124,000 to put toward the dam. In the bank, liquid, ready to go. COLA has also identified $10K to go toward the dam. And all those special people that live on the east side of the lake have so far contributed $24K in the last 4 years. Bottom line, we have $160,000 liquid, ready to go, ready for disbursement as a down payment on the dam. So we made some pretty good inroads there. What is the dam bidding process? What are all the steps that need to be gone through to make this project happen? The dam committee has identified 10 potential dam contractors. Why so many? Well, many years ago, when we first started to dust this project off, and I did a little back channel discussions with the dam guys, there was a lot of, well, I'm sorry, but Lake Hayward is too small. I'm sorry, but we are booked 3 years out. So the strategy of the dam committee is, let's get 10
players in the pool and then sort it out and see what works. Once the dam committee reviews all of those potential players, they will submit the top 3 to the board of directors for their consideration, based upon price, professional performance, and a vendor availability. Now, one of the design items that we have that we're looking for is to really do the work September of 26 to May of 27, or September of 27 to May of 28, to do the off-season work. That's one of our goals. Does that fit the contractor's goals? Stand by. We don't know yet. So once the board has the 3 potential recommendations, they will beat up those recommendations, come back to the dam committee. We need to learn more about this. We need to learn more about that. And then go back to the board. And once it's all said and done, the board will pick a player and then come back to the membership and say, we recommend Acme Dam Repair Company based on the following parameters. And you, as the membership, will vote on moving this project forward. Now it gets a little tricky because I don't know exactly when that opportunity is going to arise. So if it's in February, what do we do? Do we wait to the June meeting? Do we wait to the August meeting? Do we have a referendum? Stand by to stand by. I simply don't have the answer to that question. And the timing of all this events will drive part of that answer. I also want to reinforce and share that the spillways will be rebuilt one spillway at a time. And that's by design. If you've ever been here in a hurricane and after a major tropical storm, the dam is pumping pretty hard. It's really moving a lot of water. And it would be a fool's errand to put a cork in the bottle at the end of the dam and then have the lake levels rise up. So part of the dam design process is to do one at a time, and so the water always has a means of egress to exit the lake. And as we all know, this season, dam level comes up a little bit in the spring. Dam level's a little bit low right now with the August heat. But the big picture view is the traditional levels of the lake will not vary much through the entire scope of the dam process. Okay, how much can it cost me? That's the big gorilla in the room, and candidly, we do not have enough data to answer that question yet. But let me share with you the algorithm of how we're going to get there. Once the membership decides on Acme Dam contractors and the cost of the project is X minus Y, take out the Y, the 160K that we currently have on the books now, and that may click up a little bit. And that leaves us with Z, the amount that the membership and the east side has to pick up. Now, in simple numbers, there are 500 households on the lake. So we take that Z number, divide it by 500, and that will be each homeowner's individual contribution to the dam project. What is the scope, order of magnitude of that number? I have absolutely no idea. As I learned in my tenure and reign of terror as president of FOLA many, many years ago, don't share a number that has no basis. So I know, well, if they're going to be between this and that, it's a fool's errand. Until the math is there and until we can quantify it, it's just a number that needs to be calculated. On the simple side, to collect that number from the POLA membership is easy. You guys are a tax district, we can have a special assessment, and it's just following up the law. A little more challenging on the east side, because they are not a tax district. But once we have the number, Lori and I will go back to Valerie, the finance chairman, and the tax collector and say, okay, we have a number for the dam project. We want to assign a special assessment to the folks on the east side for XYZ dollars. how do we do that? Can we do that? We need a coach to guide us through the nuances of how to properly assess equal rate, equal size, equal impact for everybody on both sides of the lake. And that's a work in progress. Until we get the target number, we'll just run in place and make that happen. So I am optimistic that there's got to be some way to make a special assessment for our good neighbors on the east side, but that's a standby. So those are that's my presentation. Does anyone have any questions at this point?
Bill McCain, 12 Raleigh. Define Z. Can you find a project that was similar to this that's been done to give you a ballpark idea and ask the 10 potential contractors, because I'm a contractor, about a ballpark price of what stuff like that usually go for, just to get your head started to wrap around something?
Great question. And on the reconnaissance that I've done, dam prices are like sizes of underwear. There are all sorts of different sizes, and until you get into the specifics of this particular project, the age of the dam, the scope of work,
Even though it's a maintenance type thing.
even though it's a maintenance type thing,
A lot of times they're trying to prepare it.
I'll give you an example. Your car is going clunk, 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 clunk. How much is it going to cost to repair that car? You don't know. You got to go to the auto dealership and say, hey, it's going clunk, clunk, clunk. Good answer is, oh, your wheels are out of balance. Bad answer is bad transmission. So that's the scope of
But it is a maintenance item. It's not like there's actually something wrong.
well, I'm going to modify that a little bit. Last year, when we were in the drought period, as we are now, I went and took a lot of pictures of the dam. And the spillways were both dry, but water was exiting the lake underneath the west spillway. So there's some undermining going on, the scope of which I have no clue. But being a proactive guy, I don't want a hurricane to come, 6 inches of rain, and the dam is severely damaged more than it is now, simply because we didn't have a proactive action plan. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
This is just a comment. It sounded from what you said, Mary Laporte, One Long Way, that it potentially could be, this board is faced with a decision mid-year this year, like February you mentioned, and you've got to make a decision. And I would say, because we just went through this with I'm on the board of my condo association up in Hartford, the key is really making sure that you find a way to alert people early and have full discussions and buy-ins. We were making personal phone calls with a script for 3 or 4 weeks before we made the move, so that we got in touch with everybody and arranged a good Zoom meeting, because a lot of people aren't here then, but we don't want to hold it up. So kind of thinking ahead, we found the personal phone calls, even to people out of state, was really helpful in making sure the information was shared properly. Thank you.
And that's a valid point, because we don't know the timeline. And obviously the contractors have a timeline. All right, we're going to give you 60 days to call the ball. If you don't acknowledge or decline, we're moving on. So there is a clock issue here, and we will be creative and modify, adapt, and overcome, and communicate with everybody that we need to have a vote or a special referendum, or we all meet here on a cold February day. I don't know yet, but we will figure it out so everybody can participate. The entire membership can participate in the decision as we move forward. But there are timing parameters that we need to honor and respect.
A comment that okay. I'm also someone who has not been criticized for being too soft or too. I'm Jeff Bender, Forestway. Not to beat a dead horse, it's a little bit of that, but I think in 2025 we shouldn't have to worry too much about communicating with people and informing them, and in fact, even voting if we need to electronically. I mean, I just did a quick head count here. There are probably 60 people here, more or less, maybe representing 40 households. I suspect that we reach more people than that electronically in our communications. And so I think if there's a timing issue, I don't consider that a big problem. I think we should be able to get the information out there, communicate with people, and even vote if necessary. I suspect more people would hear about that than are sitting in this pavilion right now.
It's a good point, Jeff, and as we lead up to the vote, it wouldn't be a one shot across the bow. There will be okay, we've narrowed it down to Acme Dam guys. We're gonna meet with them in 2 weeks. We're gonna come up with a number, standby to standby, because we need to have your vote. So it won't be a one shot midnight coin toss. There'll be some lead up to make it work, but all those mechanics will develop downstream.
Diane Nelson, Ridgewood. I think it's a great idea to do it electronically. I think all of us, or something should be sent out ahead of time so that you have our updated cell phones and all of our data that you can get a hold of us. Some people have changed that. So let's do it ahead of time before this issue.
Yeah, great. And
Tim, can I answer that?
So I want you all to know, we are going to get information out to everybody. If the timeline comes where the vote will be at an August meeting, you will know way ahead of time. You will have information way ahead of time. We will find every means possible to communicate. And just recently, we have done actually Julia has done, thank you, a thorough review of voters and phone numbers and addresses. And so if your address and or your email address is not correct, or your phone number is not correct and you may have changed it, please reach out and send us an email so we can get that updated. There will be email blasts. There will be you're not going to get a newsletter, but there'll be email blasts, there'll be phone calls. We will do our best to get the information to you. And I just want to reiterate, it will be a membership vote based on all the criteria. The board's just going to approve a contractor, but you will ultimately approve the work and the job. I just want to make that clear. Yes, I remember.
And I'm happy to defer the communications back to the board, because I still have a flip phone that I got to put a dime in to make a phone call. So, I'm just glad to push that one up to the head shape. Other comments, thoughts, questions?
So the actual work will never really impede what's going on with the lake. I mean, it'll still be functional for the resident.
Yes.
More so, we want to go off season because, yeah, that road's going to be tied up over there. They're going to have machinery, this and that. But we're also going to have to, we don't know when that company that we select is going to be able to, they're going to dictate us when they're going to do it.
That is a design for him.
That's great. But the actual, because you're going to go one spillway at a time, everything will be, so if it had to happen during the spring and the summer, it should be built. Except for, you might not want to drive that way when you go.
Clearly, the end game is no impact on the level of the lake water through the course of this project, whenever it takes place. Now, Corinne Halliday just sold her house on the west side of the dam. So once I have the scope of work, timing of work, and are the new homeowners here? Okay. I will go meet with them and say, welcome to Lake Hayward. I have something I'd like to share with you that you might be interested in. And so I will get them up to speed. But as you can begin to gather, there are a lot of variables that need to come together congruently to make this project happen. But we've got to good downstroke of money in place. We've identified potential contractors. We have a review and award mechanism, and what we don't know, how much and when, to be determined.
You don't like to see me coming up here to the fight. I mean, sometimes I question, some of this. My name is Carrie Eckert and I live at 25 Ridgewood Road Extension. I am concerned that we really, as an association, have not yet voted to do this project at all, period. What we have agreed to is that any repair work be identified and that we do the repair work as part of our general maintenance that we do and have done in the past at the dam. I heard your comment about there being some water leaking through the spillway. I don't know that it's a major deal. I am truly a believer that the dam project is not necessary. And to me, this is a huge expense and a huge effort that may not be important to our, existence here at the lake and our water levels. And that is with 100-year washouts and all the different things that people like to claim when they're trying to get you excited about doing a project. I don't think we've ever had an issue here. And certainly downstream from that dam, there's nothing that we're going to impact. There's nothing built beyond that dam. It's not a big deal. So I do question doing this project at all. And I want to just put that in your heads because I think it's important.
Thank you for your comments, Carrie. I just want to respond to that. And I want to tell you that we're going based on the 2019 report and DEEP's recommendations. If this was not important, I don't think the town would be putting forth $124,000. And I have to say that if you would like a tour of what is actually happening, I'm sure Tim would be happy to give you that tour.
I've been here many years and I know what's happening. Thank you.
Hello, Tad Wamister, 48 Wildwood. I wanted to say thank you for all of the work that has been going on the dam project. I feel like it is particularly also. I am not an engineer, but I have gone down and looked at the damage, and we need to address this proactively as opposed to waiting. So thank you.
I'm humbled by the applause, and let me take 2 minutes for a quick history lesson. First shot to Lake Hayward in 1966. And before I had married my beautiful bride, they had a cottage up on Hilltop. Got married and had a starter cottage on Forest Way. Made a little bit more money, came down Lakeshore Drive. Started to have a little bit more money and bought a year-round house directly opposite First Beach. So I listened to every band on a Saturday night. But my mission and vision for this project isn't just the dam. I want to preserve and protect Lake Hayward, not for the next generation, 2 generations out. And this is simply a maintenance project.
Diane Melton Ridgewood. I believe, was it Ludus that a couple of years ago lost all their water? Or there was a lake somewhere nearby?
Yes.
If the spillways give way and the water goes there, is there any way we're going to get more water in this lake unless we stop it from just pulling out? Or am I being alarmist? I'm assuming if those spillways give away, our beautiful lake is not going to be what it is right now.
I suggest that's a fair assessment. And what I'd like to do is, I'm going to hang around afterwards if anyone has additional questions, additional follow-ups, but I've gotten a little head nod from the nod. from the boss. Nice job, Jim, but it's time to move on.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, we're gonna, talk about some fun stuff now with Lynn Butler, our events coordinator, who has done a marvelous job. But we've also been dealing with our permitting issue and lack thereof, and we've been offering events, and it's been interesting. It's been a ride.
Thank you. What an amazing summer. That's the first thing that I can say. We had increased participation in all activities. Volunteerism has increased, including the use of the Team Reach app for property maintenance. I know Julia mentioned a little bit about people helping out and getting things done. That's one of the ways it's happened. I want to say Cassie Jacoby has led the charge for the playground with lots of support from year-rounders, friends, Ginger and John Jacoby. The donations have come in, the basket raffles, the plant sales, the potluck, I mean, the silent auction, all of that stuff. It shows that the families of young children here and grandparents do want something for their grandkids to play on. I want to mention Mary Capolizio. I saw that she walked away recently. She has created this beautiful walkway from Wildwood down to Lakeshore. Now, years ago, if you guys can remember, you would fall and stumble as you would go up and down that walkway. Well, between the replacement of everything, so now it's this nice clear path, Mary has planted all the flowers that she seems to find around and get out of someone's garden, and all up and down that path. And it's a little tired right now. It needs some water, but it's beautiful. And again, she weeds all the time, and it's just part of volunteerism, keeping busy. Not to mention her bottle collection. I believe we're up to 750 so far, just collecting cans and bottles for redemption, and it all goes to the playground. I mean, that's a person that has no children here at the lake, and yet she's donating her time and spending hours going and popping these bottles and cans into the machines at Stop and Shop. I was with her one night, 1,500 bottles and cans. I mean, this was crazy. Jan Crowdy, he volunteered to host 2 guided painting classes this year. Now, I have no artistic ability when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. I have to tell you, I have 2 small little paintings that I have to throw in the trash, and I wasn't the only one. We were all like, wow, we could do this if somebody takes the time to show us step by step. That's pretty amazing. And you know what? It cost us $10. It came out of our own pockets, and she volunteered her time. Gail Kincaid co-hosted book club with Lisa Long. Gail and Tish co-hosted Mahjong. We're up to, I think there's like 20 women that show up pretty much twice a week, and we're getting to know each other and play Mahjong and learn a game. We've got Lisa Long, Kim Doyle, and Erica Jorgensen that brought us acoustic Sundays on the beach. As for me, floating in the water, sitting on the sand, listening to this music in this beautiful, clear lake. It was great. I mean, what a wonderful way to spend your summer. Michelle Lasardi spoke to 18 of us on enhancing your stance to prevent falls, learning how to get yourself upright with the use of a chair. Shannon McCain, what can I say? I mean, much of what we offer will be happening. I probably don't even have it all, but it's cornhole, trivia, bunco, left, right, center, family food, bingo, boozy bingo. I mean, Family Feud, the winning team, the Papolizio guys, they donated their winnings to the playground. The second place team, the Armstrong ladies, the sisters, they matched the donation for the playground. I mean, it's our community coming together. We have Karen Van Zetten and Linda Macri coming back. They did Kids Crafts this year. Linda Abel and Shannon McCain did Kids Bingo. they're just popular things the kids really look forward to. Karen and Lynn also ran a craft fair this year. I came down here and this place was bustling, and just to see the creativity within the community members is pretty awesome. Sorry, I got a lot to say.
We do end at noon.
Okay. Sure. Additional volunteers and activities. Lisa Rogers, paint your doormat. Mary Publizio, Judy Blanchett, pickleball skills. Evelyn, son, what can I say? Chasing geese with a remote control boat. I mean, she's left Boozy Bingo to chase those geese. They were out there harassing us. And thank you for always finding a guy to empty the trash on van nights. That's been awesome. Brian and Shannon for Smith for movie night. I mean, the bands, they hit 130 and 140 plus participants each week this year. I mean, that's a large increase from previous years. And we even had 5 pontoon boats wrapped up out in the middle of the lake and sit there and listen to the music from one of the bands. We had Big Daddy's Twisted Tees do the tie-dyes as they do it every year. But this year we had the focus of tie-dye 4 bands. So we showed up wearing our own tie-dye shirts, and it was just a lot of fun. Still kicking with Big City Horns and Savage Brothers are our 2 big bands still to come. So be sure to watch for them and come on out. We're kicking off Lake Hayward Days. Carnival was amazing yesterday. Again, thank you to Dave Edgington for the grill master of getting all that worked out. Lisa Sophie and her crew for Carnival. I mean, I don't even know who's involved. It's that's kind of out of my thing, but I just see how well it's run.
And Diane.
Excuse me, I have Lisa and Diane for Carnival and Beach Games, Dave on Grill. Coming up this week, tomorrow is Linda Abel and Kitty Parade. Tish and Company on Wednesday with Chocolate Bingo. We will not be charging for bingo cards, but we do ask that you bring something of chocolate for the donation table. Jeff Flynn Cakewalk on Thursday. Phil Sabo and Company is Ladies Night on Friday. Night at the Races, unfortunately, is not during Lake Hayward Days, but we do have Tim on the calendar. Is it 30th? August 30th, Saturday night.
The horses are ready, the jockeys are ready, the track is dry. Bring a bunch of singles, not dates, dollars.
We're very excited to bring it all to you. Thank you for supporting us. We look forward to doing this again next year.
Shannon McCain, 12 Laurel Lane. As part of the events committee with Lynn Butler, I want to thank everyone who came out to Funko, Trivia, Cornhole, Family Feud, Left Right Center, and Boozy Bingo, but mostly just for supporting my crazies. To all the parents and grandparents of the littles that attend Kitty Bingo on Wednesday night, Linda, Abel, and I thank you. I have mentioned in the past that after 20 years of living here, I am finally at a point in my life and career where I have the time to give back to our community. After the hubbub this week about one of the events I have nothing to do with, but is one of the greatest draws here at the lake, I'm a little sour. We have 12 weeks to enjoy our beaches and our community. The majority of the events I run require an entry fee, but all money is paid out in prizes. Every supply for my events I pay for out of my pocket so as not to dip into the events budget, and it's my way of giving back. What's so different about what I do and Night at the Races? The events I host where money is involved are in one way or another games of chance. I could see if Night at the Races was every night or every week, but to turn over a boulder on a once-a-year event is absolutely ridiculous. To require permitting and to get lawyers involved is even more ridiculous. If it's required for one, it should be required for all. And if that happens, I will no longer host my events. For years, with the exception of bands, there wasn't really much to do in the evenings unless you gathered with your friends. The pavilion is too beautiful not to be the hub for fun. The fun around here should not be limited to just the kids or once a year to Lake Hayward Days. To whomever opened up this can of worms, you should come and participate. None of the events here are for profit. We are not voting against them. We are offering a way for neighbors to get to know each other. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is to meet so many neighbors who I knew by sight, but not by name. We need to keep it simple.
Brandon, thank you for your commentary. I just want to let you know that United Races has been approved by the Department of Consumer Protection. No, going forward, for the Department of Consumer Protection, and permitting will be done for all the bingos and all the raffles. It's for the protection of all of you, because anybody attending an event that is not permitted is liable. You are liable, anybody that goes. It's so bingos, bazaars, and raffles need to, and 50/50 need to be permitted by the town. It's illegal racketeering, and so even, like I said, Night at the Races, we have specific written approval from the Department of Consumer Protection now.
But it's for friends, families, and neighbors. We're not advertising in Colchester, East Haddam, that come join us for Night at the Races, come join us for bingo, come join. We're not doing that. We're just keeping it here.
It's illegal.
Now, people want consumer protection. It says friends, neighbors, you're not, nobody's making profit.
That's for gambling. That was the Department of Consumer Protection. The town takes care of the permitting for raffles. It doesn't matter if it's for profit or not for profit or for donation. I'll show you the permit form. Well, naturally, I mean, there are people that came forward to the board and said, why isn't this permitted? So you got one person that reports us, and anybody that's in attendance there, it's a misdemeanor. You want a misdemeanor? I don't.
That's what I'm saying. When I host trivia, when I host cornhole, when I hosted Family Feud, you can't. It wasn't a donation. It was your entry fee. Okay. Again, all monies were paid out. What's the difference between what I do and what Night at the Races is? We go up, we pay an entry fee, we pay it back. They come in, they do trivia, they get the money gets paid back. So I don't know what the what's
When
the
I went to the
difference?
town and I asked them and explained what we do, they said, oh, Night at the Races. Oh, no, that's the state of Connecticut. It's a totally different animal. So I know it doesn't sound like it to you, but we've worked hard to look into this so that we protect all of the poor. And
So then, mine's the same thing. You're gambling on a chance to win a trivia. You're gambling on a chance to win a left, right, center. You're
that's
gambling-
why we're working to get permits for these.
That's not right.
We don't get permission for family events. So this is-
It says right on the top, friends, family, neighbors, not taking any money.
All right. Is there any other questions?
Nope, I don't.
I know.
Lynn Macri, 38 Lookout Drive. I don't have a question. I think maybe we could get a little committee together instead of the board having to deal with this and figure more of this out. If anybody wants to sign up for it, I would be glad to do whatever needs to be done. So you guys aren't getting bombarded with questions and we have to take your word for it, even though your word is good. I think we need to look into it a little bit more because I understand the friends and family thing and not that this is a business.
Right.
And like having a staff, it's just.
So I will tell you, the friends and family thing,
It's not even the friends and family though, Laura. It's just, let's just get a group of people together and go down and figure it out ourselves and come back next year with our answers.
we'll talk about it Is that okay? We'll
Yeah,
talk
it's fine.
offline.
I just think that
Okay.
might be helpful.
Okay. Dave Edgington would like to say a few words.
Well, we had a successful carnival yesterday, and I want to thank all the volunteers who came. We just can't do it without all of you. Most of all, George, Stephanie, and Deb Lemaine, for the last few years, I have not given them enough credit. They donate all the hot dogs to Martin Russell. Yeah. They've done a really great job. I'm sorry to report this year that we made $317 profit. I'm sorry, I know we try to break even, so we made a little bit of money. I've been blessed to run the kitchen for the last 13 years. I've loved every minute of it. It's time for me to walk away. It's time for somebody else to come on and help. I will help whoever comes over. I'll show them what I do. I got all the menus, all this, where I shop, what I buy. But it's time. I've been doing it for 13 years. It's time for a break. So if anybody wants to get involved, let us know. And I'll be glad to share the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much for all you've done. Really appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna move on to Denise, Holly Landers.
I feel like saying, how about the lease? I feel like the fencing that you put up this year is really been a game changer. Like the beaches are so much prettier. You're not having to step over poop or having to pick it up. And I really want to thank all the volunteers, official and unofficial, that have been helping to keep an eye out. Going forward, we will keep keeping the fences up into the fall and probably late fall, and then be taking down so that we don't wear them out too quickly. And then we're gonna try to figure out what to do in the winter time, and hopefully the geese that decide to come back. We have occasionally seen a pack of geese that'll show up, and they were sleeping on this sandbar down by Little Beach. And there were like 42 of them. So they're not completely gone, but at least they're not truly here. I know the rats are an issue. So I've had a couple of people make some suggestions, so we're gonna look into those. I don't know if the laser is really an option, because laser is also very dangerous to use, the one that Nutmeg Farm has, because it's so powerful that they can blind a pilot. So if it were to reflect off the raft, it could potentially affect somebody across the lake. So we have to deal with this. And then somebody else mentioned this morning that there's fatal over the rat. So we'll be looking into some other options, and if anybody else has any suggestions, we are open. And again, community has been great. I don't think we've had any complaints, except for people maybe that didn't understand what the benefit was or why it was there. They thought the beaches were closed, but other than that, we've got a lot of support from everybody. The other thing is, I do bring in the new members or new neighbors that we have. I do have waivers with me, which will become very important come spring, because that's when we address the nesting. And that's when it helps us control the numbers, so they go exponentially multiply on us. Actually, I'm pretty much about it. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yeah.
I have a compliment for you. I've raised second beach for the last 2 years. Last year, on average, it was almost 2 buckets of goose poop every other day I was picking up. It was horrible. And I was not a fan of the fences. I didn't like them, but they're great. I have not picked up any goose poop this year. Thank you.
Any other questions? And we will be looking for volunteers for next year, so feel free to look me up on at geese@lakehaywardct.com.
On the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Thanks, Holly.
Okay, we are gonna talk about lake quality. While we have found a resident, Benny Lane, I don't know if he's here, to take over management of the annual invasive weed treatment, the committee still needs a pool member to serve as chair. Currently, I'm doing that. But it would be nice if somebody, had some expertise or not even expertise, but an interest. There are a lot of experts on the committee already. But the role is important to ensure the budget is properly overseen and to renew our focus on curbing runoff into the lake, one of the primary sources of excess nutrients. And notably, septic systems must be properly maintained to protect water quality. You really have to be cognizant of your septic system. I also want to address vegetation on pool properties. We have had several instances where people are just going out and trimming vegetation along the properties. Polar properties are, some of them are specifically designed with gardens that are deep approved. And most of them are there to protect for erosion. We have had, like I said, several people that are just going out and cutting it. That's not okay. Please consult with the board first if you see an issue with vegetation, and we'll address it with experts that we have that are aware of this. So I can't stress it enough. Just please don't go out there and just start cutting vegetation. If you notice an area you think is overgrown, just contact any of the board of governors and we'll look into it. So if you have any interest in joining the committee or serving as chair, please reach out to me or any board of governor. Much appreciated.
Bill McCain, Global Lane. With a question on that, I mean, probably all tired of him. I just have a lot of questions. If we do have an issue with some areas being overgrown, like for instance, Second Beach, I've been here 20-something years. All the boats used to be all around that area. Then they brought in vegetation and plants, which was good because it does help with the geese and stuff like that. But you know, don't forget, this is a lake. Lakes are for boating, fishing, this and that. The racks that were installed in the Second Beach now are so overgrown by the bushes, you can't even put your boats on it. So we need to nip this in the bud, or we're going to be running out of room for being able to use the lake, which is a lake, you know?
So on the flip side of that, if you don't maintain the shoreline and the vegetation, the proper vegetation, you're not going to have a lake.
So what can we do?
So-
Can you cut it down but not remove it?
Yes, but
What's our way to go?
so, as I said, come to the board of governors. We've been talking about it. We actually have someone coming today, an expert coming today. And we are looking
There is
into it.
option, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Well,
sure.
that was my question. There is some kind of plan that we can save usable lake.
Yes. And we need to maintain the usable lake and the health of it. We really have to move on.
If you don't move on, go ahead.
Do you have something you'd like to say?
Are you going to talk about, lake water quality anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I didn't have any intention of that.
I don't know if this will change that intention, but, I just wanted to ask a question, and I should, preface this by a knock on wood, because I don't think it's been, particularly bad this summer so far, which surprises me a little bit from the heat. But I know I've spoken to Corinne repeatedly over the years. We're on Forest Way, Jeff Bender. We've actually had significant problems yearly with algae blooms. Been vicious actually with this sort of thick green. And you know, we have grandkids and we're always told to keep the kids out of the water. It's pretty tough when you're at a lake and you can't go in the water. So I'm just wondering if we have any more information about that. I know that there's testing done in general and always looking for the toxic forms of algae that people should really be concerned about. Generally, we don't find those.
I recently became aware that East Hampton has a lake that essentially puts bubblers in. I don't know the logistics, the engineering, the details of it, but because they had so much trouble with algae blooms, and it seems to have relieved that quite a bit. So this is probably not the right place for a long discussion about this, but I just wanted to raise that again as an issue. And again, thankfully, it hasn't been a big problem so far this summer.
All right, so I can comment on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, Corinne just left and I'm trying to get up to speed a little bit. We've had a very dry summer, less runoff, less nutrients. So that has kept the algae blooms, I think, at its lowest point since 2020. So we're doing very well this year. There's helpful testing, there's data that's covered the 5 years in the making, tracking nutrients, runoff, and so forth. And that's something there's recommendations that are going to be coming along.
Okay.
So I can't give you all that
Yeah,
information
no.
right now, but yes,
That's helpful. Thank you.
you're welcome. Good question.
There's a group of folks from both the east side and the west side that test the deepest point in the lake every 2 weeks. And the deepest point in the lake in round numbers is 11 meters. And we take measurements at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 11 and measure nutrients and things that are in the water. And people a lot smarter than us, a guy called a job called a limnologist, takes our annual data, massages it, and gives us sort of a health card on what the lake is doing. And why there is less algae this year than in years past, don't have a clue. But once we turn in all the data, I think we'll be able to get our hands around that answer, because I'm really curious.
Thank you. I did repeat what Wolf said, and he did think it was a lot because the nutrients there wasn't as much runoff.
I want to comment on the algae, and piggybacking, Justin George, 36 Forest Way. Come to my property, look out at the dock. It's filled with algae. So to say that it's much improved, I would say this is the worst year for us. So maybe it's come around, but you're very welcome to come to 36 Forest Way, go on the dock and look. Now, I would also say on the positive side that the treatment of the weeds had a good impact and had no impact on wildlife or fish or the freshwater clams or whatever. Plenty of wildlife is good, and that has had a very positive impact. But the algae plumes in that area, really, I wish you would come over and look at
Okay,
it.
can I just ask you a question? Have you taken a picture of the algae blooms or let anybody know?
See, I mean, if you look in, you can see all the green around you. You
But-
gotta swim through it to get out and really get a good area to swim. So a picture really is not gonna show you. Come out and look and take your own. I'll take
Okay.
a picture, but you're just gonna see, you don't have the reflection.
Well, so my point is the Lake Quality Committee goes based on what's reported.
Have some of the committee members come over. I'm fine with it.
No.
Just look at it.
So I'm agreeing with you. We can look at it, but if we don't know about it,
I'm telling you.
thank you. Going forward, though, please send an email or something so that we know.
Right, well, when I heard you say it's much improved, that's what prompted my comment.
I get it, and that's what I've been told based on the report.
So they need to come, please put in the report, come check our location.
Okay. Nancy Kavanaugh, 85 Wildwood Road.
I would say the algae is here in the last week. A little bit at Second Beach, a little bit more, but having paddled out in the whole lake and swam at Second Beach a whole lot, the last 6 years. I would say this year it came much later than it has in previous years. And it's like, in previous years, I could put my paddle down 2 feet in the middle of the lake and see it. Not seeing that today. So it is much improved, but it's a concern that we really need to work on.
Thank you, Nancy. Any other questions for lake quality? Okay, we'll move on to merchandise. I don't know if Michelle's here. But.
Oh, sure, I'm just her helper. Merchandise is going very well. Sold about at least 4,500, give or take. We'll be out again for the Savage Brothers and put it out for that time, and then we'll close it down. Thank you all, and that's all I got to report. We're doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, we're going to talk about the playground, and Cassie is here, Jacoby. Good morning. The playground committee has received a great, the middle of the road company, not too expensive, not a cheap one. It's a good quote. And a sale, one of their sale options. Anyway, for a playground that has monkey bars, a climber, a small slide, and a bigger double slide. With wood mulch, the price will come to around $28,000. You can look at the quote there. The color will be natural greens and browns. The footprint size is very close to the previous size. Again, I want to say this is a good price for. It's not anything above what we had before. It's if anything, it's the same. Anyway, thank you to everyone who has donated and participated in all the fundraising activities. We now have almost $7,000 to apply to the playground already, and that's not including more money that is to come. So we are asking for a vote for an amount not to exceed $21,000 to cover the rest. But again, we still have more fundraising. We will hopefully be able to order and install it for this fall or the latest by early spring. Regarding fundraising, we have October 4th tag sale, plant sale, bake sale, and an engraved brick fundraiser in the works. I will very shortly provide a website to order and also physical order forms that I will place the flyer holders. So the brick fundraiser could potentially make a lot of money. Say, I don't think there's 60 people here, but say 60 people order bricks and we sell them for $150. $20 goes back into making the brick. It's to get us $7,800. So if we sold a large amount of them, we could make a lot of the playground costs back. It doesn't cost much to install them, and my husband even installed paper, so it's not hard to do. Yeah. I think he would like some help there. Yeah, we'll need a lot of help in doing it, like spreading mulch. We're trying to make everything as cheap as possible. Like we're outsourcing Home Depot mulch, so it's only $2,700, and we would spread it ourselves. We would need help clearing out the old mulch, but like all these things, it even says on there like that. Yeah, they can. Yeah. Anyway, anything we could cut corners on prices, we will. Yeah, so regarding the bricks, we would plan right now to surround the stone table by the playground. And we had a cute little addition connection from the stone table with the bricks around it to the playground. The fundraisers. That's 7,000. So yeah, from all the fundraisers, I think we're at like 7,000. And probably, Mary Papalegio hasn't even handed in her 800, so or 7 something. But yeah, she'll likely be at 1,000, and she's going to be done by the end of the month. So if we want to keep going with the cans, we'd love help doing that. If people want to pick up if they see a bag and send the money in. What? Yes, that's all included.
Thank you. Really, I know it's a big lift. I've done a playground stuff for my kids, and my address is 1
Longwood, Mary LaPorte. I want to speak very strongly in favor of trying to meet where they are when they finish their fundraising and have our board approve and our membership approve, making up the difference. I'll tell you why. When my kids were little, we had so much we could offer the children. We had tennis lessons, we had swimming lessons, we had field trips. We had a full-time employee who was here all day, just keeping our kids entertained. Probably not many here remember that. I recognize the reality of the litigious society we're in and the fact that we could not do that anymore without liability on us. But when I look around and I see that as adults, we made sure that the football court got done. We made sure that the paving was redone. We made sure that we take care. But these little ones, they can't stand up and vote today. Their grandparents and their parents have to speak for them. My kids, my grandchildren, because we didn't have a playground when my kids were little. My grandchildren, we come all year. We're not year-rounders, but our house is available to us all year. And we brought them down in snowstorms and gone over there and played. Yes, maybe it's a place where kids congregate, but that's a whole issue of the environment. I really can't say enough. They can't vote. Let's give them their playground.
Keith Marvin, Goodwood. My main thing is, I've been on budget committee a number of years now. I want to make sure people understand that this is part of our evolution of getting our assets up to a certain level. And it's the reason why we voted to put the money up front to fix the courts and these things, to get it done out of our funds that we have reserved for general things. I highly recommend that, especially with all the work that people have done already, is that we just approve and not to exceed. Let's get it done this fall and we can negotiate a better price for the thing. Get it done. It'll have no impact on our ongoing budgets. We didn't put anything in our future 26, 27 budget other than buying some new mulch every year if we need it. So other than that, this is kind of a one-time cost that won't affect you on a monthly basis. And let's just get it done so we can move on with other projects. Thank you very much for your help.
Lynn Chrissy, 25 Forest Way. Again, I applaud the work and I applaud the fundraising. I think we should have the playground and that's beautiful. My question is the timing. Yet again, I heard the word assessment. Until we know what we're going to be assessed, each and every one of us, for the cost of the dam, I've just had a difficult time approving money for the playground or for anything new this year. And although we've had a playground in the past, we don't now. This would be a new item.
I do want to address that. I totally understand. But with the future fundraisers coming in more money, we're kind of asking them to fund us the money. If we make another 10,000 from fundraisers and more people donating, then it's only going to cost us 10, 10 or 11. Like the price is only going to go down. And
I'm gonna buy a brick, but I also recommend that we fund this.
Joe McCain for, well, I'm all for it. I just have one question. I've been hearing there's no swings, that they're more liable than monkey bars. I'm just trying to grasp that. That's all. And if everybody
swings-
clears with Dave over here on the insurance side, that's.
I'm on the switch with you.
But I just don't understand how a swing is more dangerous than.
no, the swing, I mean, I don't know if we heard that from the insurance company. Swings are not out of the game, but swings position wise are a question because you can't put swings where the other playground is in another spot, which could potentially go on the other side, but that's in addition. So we can't even approve the playground. We have to go from there.
Jason Griffin, 83 Wildwood. Just to note that $21,000, if we spend it, divided by the 429 properties have, comes out to $48.
And it's not going to do $10,000, so you're not talking a lot of money.
I make a motion that we accept the well-rounded.
Said your number.
21,000.
And so just so everybody knows, there's pictures.
Use the mic.
Just so everybody knows, the number that Cassie's asking for is gonna be in an allocated reserve account. If she only winds up spending 10,000 because of the donations, the rest goes back into the capital reserve. So I just want to make sure everybody was clear on that.
Okay, can you make a motion?
I made the motion.
Okay,
And Macri, 48 Lookout Drive, that we accept the playground.
I'll second.
okay, so now,
$41,000. Right. Yeah, you got it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay,
Motion passed.
motion passes.
Good job.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cassie, and thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you. Okay, properties?
Real quick on properties, we do have a property team reach site. It's called, Pula Property Team, Pola Property Team is the site. The group code is POALH 214. And you can sign up if you want to be part of the, volunteer, group that we attack a project as it comes up. And if it's in your area of expertise, you can sign up to help. If not, just, let it go. So that has been working fantastic this year. We're very pleased with it. The walkways are winding down. 33 Ridgewood is underway. So fingers crossed it's going to be finished next week. I don't know, weather dependent, all that good stuff. Glimmer Glen has been also, I'll get to you, Lindy, when I leave them up. About. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, Glimmer Glen, we cleared someone nicely cleared the vegetation for us, so the team didn't have to do it. And we have a little bit more and some signs went up, and so walkways are winding down, thankfully. What else did you've seen a lot of the branches and limbs, they've all been cleaned up. We've had Tyree tree in, they've done a lot of work. The next one that we've assessed is the dead tree at Little Beach. That will be the next one that comes down. The swim lines again are scheduled to go out on the 21st. If you can sign up and help, please do so on the Team Reach site. There is a project here that Mary Jean Otis and Lynn Butler are interested in power washing and cleaning up the pavilion. They need some expertise though. They're happy to organize it, but they need somebody that will kind of guide them as to the proper way to do that. So we'll add that to Team Reach, and if you can, please sign up. Doesn't take a lot of people, but it does take, we want to do it right. We don't want to ruin this beautiful pavilion. So they want to do it, but we need your help. And we had a pilot program last winter to leave one porta potty open here during the off season, and it worked out really well. And so one porta potty here at First Beach was year-round, and we're going to continue that because there's a lot of activity here in the winter. Sometimes people come to their cottages when the water's off and they need a place quickly rather than driving to town. They've been able to use the facilities here, so it's worked out quite well, and we're going to continue with that. I think I got. I think it's, and let's say your next questions about properties. Come up a little bit.
38 Lookout Drive, Lynn Macri. So I have a right of way. That's walkway, right away, whatever. It's not usable because on the bottom of the hill, there's work that needs to still be done. And it looks horrible. Due to whatever the situation is, I would like to know when that may get rectified.
It's supposed to be finished next week. John's supposed to finish it.
Okay, so what happens if it's not? Because that's been promised before. And I'm really upset that it's not being done. I take care of my property. I pay my lawn guy to do my right of way up top. From my fence down, it's a disaster and you can't walk it. No, and it's not,
Have you
it's not
seen it?
because,
Have you seen it lately? John graded the whole thing last week. Did you see that?
no,
No, you need to drive by and see.
Okay.
So it's graded and we're going to finish it. He's gonna put boulders in, to hold that slope,
okay.
and then it's going to be seeded.
But what if it's not done? I honestly, this has been,
I
I'm not, you've been working diligently and harder than anyone I know with that walkway.
We're really at the mercy of our contractor.
So can we get another contractor? Because he's a great person, but he's got a lot going on
I know.
and nothing gets done when it's been told that it's going to get done. So you can only do so much with one contractor. And I'm very frustrated, obviously, with,
Well, give us till next week and let's.
but that's
see where
not
it goes.
helping, but that's not answering my questions.
Well, so
Because it's been told,
Right.
more than several.
we
times.
were just told that it will, he's on it now and that it will be done by next week.
Okay.
But you're not
So-
giving me an answer as to.
So
if
if it's
doesn't get
not done, then we will talk to him and find out what the situation
But it's
is.
still not, thank you. It's
And
not
if,
helping.
and if we need to move forward, we will,
But it's been moving forward,
with a different contract.
but we haven't done it. Is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Hello again. Tad Longster, 48 Wildwood. This is my 15th year at Lake Hayward, my 15th summer. I go to Second Beach all the time. And there have been some disturbing developments this year. I'm glad that there is a kayak launch sign that is permanent now to tell pontoon boats not to park there. At the beginning of this season, someone bought a big new pontoon boat, parked it right in the middle of the kayak. And that really upset me because I'm like, you obviously don't go to Second Beach. You don't know that that's the kayak launch. The same owner moved their pontoon boat, but now they conveniently charge it with a generator. They start the generator and leave. That is really pissing me off. It is inconsiderate. It is rude. It is not neighborly. And I think it is a liability to start a generator, a gas-powered generator, and then leave it. So I don't know who you are if you're here, but please talk to me. My name is Tad Walmister, and I do not accept that generators are an acceptable way to charge your pontoon boat at Second Beach. We're adding a playground in there. So this owner needs to be forcefully told that they need to start reading the room and generators that you're left running at Second Beach is totally unacceptable. I had guests on the beach and we could smell gas and we could hear it.
Okay,
That, I want this to be,
Tad, we got it.
okay,
So,
good. But that is one point. The other thing is, I do not accept that it is acceptable to run extension cords from the Pola, electrical outlet to someone's boat. This summer, someone has been using a indoor, like a Christmas tree, extension cord. That is not acceptable. It is not a public charging point. I have an electric car. I don't go down there and charge my electric car, parking in the parking lot. The solar panels are so cheap. They're like maybe $200. Buy one, plug your boat in, and then you don't need to run an extension cord. I will not allow for extension cords to be run across the playground. I will unplug it and wrap it up and put it next to your boat. No extension cords across a playground when that is installed. Absolutely. Indoor extension cords, unacceptable. That's a fire hazard. It's a trip hazard. Just do no harm. When I go to Second Beach, I leave the beach with a piece of trash. I throw stuff out. So just this year it's had a little flavor, and I want to see less extension cords. I don't want to see any generators. I want to see people who have their pontoon boat and do no harm to the people who are enjoying Second Beach.
Before you go, I have to address that. So Nancy and I are both Second Beach reps. That was brought to our attention yesterday. And we've had communication. That same owner was the one that parked his boat
and the kayak launching area, so I know who it is, and I have their cell phone number.
Well, you can also tell them that the cover they have is the wrong size for their boat, so it collects water and then graces us all with mosquitoes. People who have a pontoon boat have a responsibility to not have standing water sitting.
But you can't, it's not gonna be going back and forth. I know, Tad, but it's not gonna be back and forth. Let me just tell you that Nancy and I are all over this. We will address that. We will address that. And we also are taking notes because rules and regs are being updated for next year. So we're taking note on these types of things with the extension cords, with the no generators. Could you imagine if we have 4 or 5 generators lined up on First Beach? That's unacceptable.
It's
So,
unmanageable.
and it's going to stop. So you could guarantee that that will no longer happen. And we're addressing it. The other thing that I just wanted to mention, Nancy and I met with the members that we could get our hands on or communicate to Second Beach and started a Team Reach app just for Second Beach. And I know, Ted, you're on that. And we're a little bit overdue with trimming and enhancing Second Beach, and we recognize that. The reason why Nancy and I chose to wait is because we wanted to make sure we have proper guidance. And I know that even Dave here is standing in front of him. Dave and I have trimmed not the gardens, but Second Beach, and we have some new learnings about some of the invasive plants that are there and how to manage those plants. And I'm no expert, but what I've read, what Nancy has read, and we do have an expert coming at 4:30 today that is going to meet with a small group of us, and Ted, I know you're going to be one of them, to understand how we have to remove those, replace them with another vegetation, and how we have to properly dispose of those plants. And we do have a trimming party planned with this proper supervision for later on this month. So we are addressing it. We realize we're a little late, but it was tact. It was done with tact because we want to make sure we're going to do it correctly. But that owner who has that boat, nice gentleman, I did speak with him when he had it parked there, moved it right away. And I will be addressing that shortly.
Dave?
I'll be quick. Dave Edge, you've been 25 Wildwood. This plug at Second Beach has been a question for quite a while. I don't know why it was put in. There's also a spotlight there. You know, it hasn't worked. I've been here 23, 24 years. It's never worked, right? That plug didn't work for many, many years. It's only a couple of years ago we had an electrician look at it. Why don't we get rid of it? Why do we have a plug there in the first place? Third Beach doesn't have one. Little Beach doesn't. Let's get rid of it. We don't need it.
Dave, so if we wind up getting to public safety, we'll have Dave Burton talk, and we're gonna discuss, we're considering putting cameras, it's a consideration,
Okay, that's fine.
so we might use the electrical that's there.
But you don't
We
have to
may
have a
use
plug
solar,
there.
right, we don't, right, but being that it's already there
Of course,
live
of
and
course.
metered,
Yeah, okay.
um,
A quick question on Second Beach tree trimming while we're here. With that big branch fell over the top of the kayak rack, those trees are in bad shape. Do we have plans to
Yes.
have those?
Yep.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Thanks, Dave.
And just other points on Second Beach, we are planning to look at rules and regulations with the board this fall or winter, I'm not sure exactly when. But it really has been disturbing to see people on numerous, I feel weird talking this way when you're.
You're supposed to be talking to the chair. You're
Yeah.
supposed to. be talking.
Okay, it has been concerning to see the number of people who are fishing in the swim area. I'm very close to it. I can't tell you how many times I have observed this specifically at Second Beach, including the day before yesterday, kids swimming with a fishing pole in hand in the swim area. So we've had a lot of people who have volunteered and taken hooks out. And so we need to go over the rules and regs, and maybe public safety can help us in the future with enforcement, but it's very concerning, and I ask people not to fish in the swim areas, please.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move on to public safety as we're, time check. And I don't want to, actually, it's a really important subject, so I don't want to rush it. So Dave Burton, can you come up and, talk about some of the initiatives that we're looking into?
So one more vote.
Dave Burton, I'm from 135 Wildwood. For those who don't know, my daytime job is chief of police for the city of Groton. So I told sit on the public safety committee. So Lori and I walked around, looking at signage, trespass, as the number one concern, and then identifying private property versus public property. The signage is insufficient here. The affirmative defense, the trespass is, well, I didn't see it, I didn't know. Where the fencing is, that is, not argued, you can't argue that, but where the threshold entries are, that's where your, no entry of private property, no trespass, except the rules and regulations for the beach have to be, because that's where the people will walk through. So, with that in mind, looking at the 3 beaches, the signs have to be changed so that they are at the entranceways. And also increase in number. Primary example of that is Second Beach, because of the length of parking that is along Second Beach. The signage again is insufficient for that length. So there will be additional signs placed along to come to the notice of the individual who potentially could violate that. And that's what the law is. So you have to come to that notice. As far as First Beach is concerned, there's some conversation about, do we chain this off at night? And then what do our hours look like? Right now it's midnight. We had some fireworks issues going on. I know because I came down here, going on for the July 4th weekend. You know, do we reduce that down to 10 o'clock? And if we do that, then let's change some of our rules and regulations to go with that. We are talking about putting up some additional security cameras. We can put up Ring at a very reasonable cost. I like the Second Beach Tower because that does give us a power option there. But if the outlet is an issue, then we just place that off, remove it, etc. So long as the tower remains on the pole, it is available to us. So that's about it. Oh, so there's a proposal for security to come here next year. 2 phases. The first one would be the beginning and the end of the season, where necessarily the hours are not needed to the degree that they would be in mid-season. We would look at, so the 2 shoulder months, the beginning and the end, that would be about a 9-hour commitment for security on the weekends. And then in the middle of the summer, that would be an 11-hour commitment for security if we decided to go along that. And that's more of the, let's make sure we're here. Again, if we reduce it down to 10 o'clock, 10 p.m., let's make sure we go to 11 p.m. or 12. So we're here after closing, so we can remove those individuals who shouldn't be here, shouldn't be on the beat. Questions? I really don't need this.
Karen Cullen, 313 Lakeshore Drive. Gary and I have been here for 37 years. And going way back, we used to have little badges that we pinned on that a family had to have with them to access any of the beaches. And then we're using a parking lot that tags now, I guess, to regulate access. Is there any thought to going back to having badges to identify residents of the hole?
Thank you, Karen. Yes, we actually, the parking tags are expire in 2026. So we are looking at all different kinds of measures. We're not going to go back to what we have now. There are going to be some changes. There's some flaws with what we have now. I don't know, you lose your tags, you call up Carolyn and you say, I lost my tags. Well, how do we know? Maybe now you have 8 of them, you know. So there's so many different things that we're looking at, but we are taking that into consideration. Maybe tags, maybe stickers on the windows, and you get 2 hang tags for guests. I don't know, but we are talking about it. Thank you.
Hopefully this is just a quick question. Towing. You can just
hire a tow truck company, if I'm correct. My son was gonna bring this up, but he couldn't be here today. So, and if you have signs that say, if you don't have a hang tag, whether you've been here 20 years, 100 years, your car will be towed at owner's expense. And we don't pay the tow company anything, if I'm correct. They just come by at their leisure, they check it out. If they don't have a tag, they either boot your car or they tow it, as basically that sign says. But if we have a company that comes, I'm not sure if that's allowed or if it really does anything, but I think you would be the one who would know that.
So public roadways require 24-hour notice for towing unless they present an immediate hazard, hence the accidents or intersection blockage, et cetera, that police often deal with. We'll tow them immediately. Private property, anybody can tow from private property whenever they want. However, you have to have an appeals process. The appeals process is somebody doesn't feel that their car should have been towed, and they have the right to challenge that tow. If they win that, then the association would be responsible for the tow. If not, then the vehicle owner is responsible for the tow. I will give you one example from last year when I got involved in this, and that is that we did have some overnight parking where some board members knew about it and others didn't. So that's an issue because if somebody gets permission as a board of governors, that's it. You're done with its own. So that vehicle, that whatever piece of equipment can stay for that amount of time. So.
And that's fence signage too.
Right.
You need to have proper signage to tow. You have to make sure they see.
Dave, you're full-time job. This relates to a previous discussion about state rules and regulations about raffles and stuff like that. Do you have an opinion on what our liability would be if we violate that?
So I signed the permits for the city. I can tell you right now, it doesn't make any difference if you're private or public. I signed permits for city events, and I also signed permits for the Elks, which is a nonprofit, and they take all of that money and give it to charity, and they still are required a permit on that. The reason why the state of Connecticut says it's necessary is because they put the hands in the local municipality to make sure that the prizes are legit, and that's it. We are supposed to make sure that whatever event is going on is a legit event. That's the responsibility. So the way the municipalities do that is they charge $25 for the permitting. That's what we charge, $25. The vending, it depends on what the ordinance says for the city. If for the town of East Haddam, if they have a vending permit requirement, then yes, if you're going to vend. But vending is usually your trucks or your food trucks. And we would not do State of Connecticut Department of Health because that is done at the state level. Anything that is gambling, though, is still done at the state. So we do, at the local level, we do raffles, we do bingo, we do giveaways, but we don't do gambling. Gambling is where the house keeps the money. So if the house keeps a percentage of the money, that's gambling, and that's still goes to the state of Connecticut.
And what would you, I don't know that, but that is, you know.
Thank you.
But it comes under the.
One more question. No, we just want the sign, none about that. There's one vote out before. If you put, the sign says vehicles will be towed. Tim has a police chief, he knows. What are the chances, because I know this from friends that are in the tow business, what's the chances of getting a towing company to come to private property to tow a vehicle when they don't have the police backing them up? The chances of getting a towing company slim to none, because there's no backing. They don't want to get into the confrontation. And I'm sure you can elaborate on that. When it's for the police, they got the police standing there. People can't give the tow truck company any.
We can talk about this. I have to get one vote out before we get going. I think we do. I think if everybody just stays, we do, yeah.
We need 40 people with a paddle.
I think we have more than.
With a paddle.
With a paddle.
I think that was intentionally delayed.
Sorry.
Could everyone just stick around just for 1 second and grab the camera? Don't leave.
Everybody stand up that has a paddle, please.
We might be at 40, some people are backing me up, we're 8.
All right.
I counted 32. So
That's 40.
But let's double check.
We're just making sure.
I'll start. 1,
Yeah, 1 and then sit down. 1,
2,
3, 4,
5,
7,
7,
8,
9,
10.
11.
On that side.
11,
12. Over there. 13, 14, 15, 16, down, 17, down, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41.
Okay,
I was
thank
told there
you.
would be no math
That was
today.
not supposed to be last. Court should have been a little sooner. So this should be quick. I'll be brief. Our courts right now look beautiful, and we're trying to keep them that way. There has been some incidences where bicycles are coming in there and folks that are not residents of the lake, are not part of the pool. So what the courts committee did is we got together, we talked about how we could prevent this. We could never eliminate it, but how can we prevent this? And we couldn't come to a consensus. So we wanted to bring it to the association. What we did in the meantime is the courts are open at 8 in the morning and they close at 9. If you notice, the lights go off promptly at 9. The courts have a padlock on them at 9, and then someone has to go there in the morning and manually open the padlock at 8 o'clock. And so we need volunteers. That's been working really well. We looked into a keypad. So the locks the courts, each gate will remain locked with 2 keypads, 1 on each gate. And that keypad will have a combination that will be sent out to all of the association annually. If it needs to be done more often, if it's handed out to people who live across the lake, which I've seen personally playing on the courts, or people from the center of town coming and playing on the courts, which I've seen personally, or kids on bicycles from the center of town coming and already have put skid marks on the courts. The best scenario that we came up with from a courts committee is these keypads. So you hit 7843, the gate opens, that will be handed out to all Pula residents. There is a fee of about $700. They are expensive, but they're very good because they bolt right through our existing fencing, so there's no alterations that are required for the gates that we have today. We would like to have a vote. If there's any questions real quick that I could answer prior to the vote. So it would be to remove the combination locks that we have now and add these keypad locks for the future. So the vote will be do we want to spend $1,400 to add the keypad locks and provide those combinations to everybody, provide them to your children and have it so the courts are a little bit safer to other folks playing on them.
Or do you want to keep it just idle?
So I make the motion that we vote, since there's no question
Oh, wait,
that we,
question.
oh, sure.
Inside or
Yes. Yeah, it's just a it works as a regular handle on the inside.
Could check out any
No,
time,
no.
but you can never.
You can always climb over the fence, but we can't reach it. Yeah, but you won't be able to get in from reaching your hand around. Sure. Motion
More
on the,
discussion. With, so many people having the code, is there a camera so we can go in and out?
there's a camera I noticed over here. I don't know if
No,
it
but
works.
is there one on the borders of the court so we can see if somebody's doing?
No, just the one on the end here that I think is,
Kristen will.
there will be. There will be. So we can, like Lori said, we can manage to keep the courts locked during the night hours, which is helping, because we did have young folks going on to courts at night. But I've personally witnessed other folks not from the pool. Most of those people are very respectful. If you're part of the association, you know, we just put in $30,000 of everyone's hard-earned money. You guys are great at watching your own children. It's other young adults that come here at night, and I frankly, I've seen them come during the day, and I've seen them come with their bicycles, and they've been skidding on our brand new surfaces. And if you look at this first board here, you'll see all the black marks, and that's from a bicycle. And they were just
Was that during the
reckless.
daytime when it's?
That was during the day when I saw them.
I move to approve 1,400 for purchase and installation.
Did you get a second on that motion, Chris?
I make a motion that we approve $1,400 so we could have these keypad locks on one for each gate. And I look for someone to second that motion. All in favor? All right, so this is gonna be important. Are there any nays?
No, that's not an egg.
That's an egg. No, those two. Carries.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks for staying. I appreciate that.
All right, I do have some old business. I just want to give you a quick, gone a little longer than anticipated. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the short-term rentals. I prepared just a quick message on it. Our attorney suggested a possible definition to classify them as a business with specific guidelines on what would constitute them as a business, but the cost and risk of legal battles, especially against corporations like Airbnb and VRBO, made it impractical. Instead, we'll move forward with legal recommendations from the rental committee and update rules and regulations this winter. And we're going to go with that and see how that works. If not, and the community wants to vote to go to litigation, but they've already received an email that litigation is already, if that went through, if we did that, they would already litigate. So if we decide that the rules and regs that we put in aren't helpful and there's still issues with short-term rentals, and the membership agrees that we're going to put all this money into litigation, we'll move forward with it. So let's see how it goes with the rules and regs updates. And I wanted to give you an update on that. And then is there any questions on that?
Bill McCain, 12 Orlando. I'm on the committee. The last I heard during the early spring meetings that we were going to get an update from you because it went to the board with what we came up with. Okay. And I know the new law went into effect in October and we weren't a municipality here. We have to follow East Haddam. But a cheaper way, I think, to handle that is be very simple, is make a change to our charter bylaws stating that if you are Airbnb, because then obviously if you are Airbnb, you're being a business, that you don't be able to meet your guests, because you have to the host, your guests are not able to use the amenities. Because that's mainly what we're worried about. It's like the overkilling of our amenities with people who are making money for themselves off our amenities that we all pay for.
I understand what you're saying. I also understand it takes away from volunteerism. I completely understand with all of those things, but the law is unfortunately didn't fall in our favor. And so what we were told by our attorney was this is your only option if you want to go this way. You define what you think is a business, or what you think if it's renting, if you rent to four different people, 4 different times a year, and I'm just making an arbitrary number here, then you're considered a business. And we would definitely be litigated. So it's a decision, if need be, in the future, we need to decide as a membership.
Well, on a simple thing, they can still rent and do what they want, but in our charter bylaws, they just wouldn't be able to use the amenities. That would push them.
We don't have the right to regulate rentals. We have the right to regulate businesses and what we consider a business.
We have the right to regulate our amenities.
Yes. Which that would be in rules and regs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what
So,
I'm saying. We could beat it that way by telling you, since you're renting to so many people, that you're excluded from the amenities, because the amenities are for the people that belong to.
we don't have that right. We don't have that right. Not that.
We're
We don't.
making money.
Okay.
We'll get sued. But like I said, I was waiting since the early spring. We were supposed to get this update, but I now guess this update.
I sent the update. I actually, to the whole committee, I sent exactly what the attorney asked for. I asked for feedback. I did not get one committee member feedback, not one. I'll look on the email, but I sent it to every single one of the rental committee, asked for feedback, and the only one that gave me feedback was somebody who told me she was going to litigate.
We've also donated some time here.
So, I will, you know what, I'll find the email and I'll send it to you guys. I was quite surprised that not one person responded from the rental committee. So, all right, I have one more very, very important thing to say. And I want to thank Lisa Sobey for all that she's done and all her work here. She's stepping down midterm because she has some life changes, and we are going to miss her dearly. Okay, does anybody want to make a motion? Have a wonderful rest of the season.
I'll go and someone go back over there. Yeah, I like